we changed. There was not like that Mick didn't do this or Mick didn't do that. I think that you have to just look at option, what is the best for the team and how can we move quickest to get us better in a better spot and be solid in the midfield.
Mick Schumacher is seatless for 2023, but that doesn't mean he's done with the sport. It seems like he and Mercedes have both expressed interest in having Mick signed as a reserve driver, something that would keep Mick's chances of finding a starting seat for 2024 even higher. What is really interesting is the fact that Wolff spoke yet again about Mick after his release from Haas's duties, and the response he had about Mick joining the Silver Arrows is going to be a pleasant sight for the young German's fans. So, are we about to see the son of the seven-time world champion in Mercedes? Mick's second season in Haas wasn't one that he would remember for a long time, mostly because of the relationship he's had with the team and the fact that he remained seatless for 2023. Mick scored his first career points in 2022 on 2 occasions, in Silverstone and Austria respectively. But after Austria, his performance dropped off massively, and it didn't help that Magnussen was able to score points in Austin, finish on the pole position in Brazil, and score one more point there. True, the car wasn't truly pleasant to drive, but that doesn't mean that Mick didn't deserve a second chance, or more precisely, a third year with Haas. This is something like a general opinion of Mick and Haas, and what is really heartbreaking is that Mick was replaced at the end of the season.
We have ground to make up. The last 2 years were not good for us, We are a lot better this year again, but we want to make the next step, that we want to end up where we were in 2018 again, So, and for us, Nico was the best candidate for it, and therefore we made a change.
Mick doesn't have a drive for 2023 due to the fact that the teams already had choices for the starting driver, and Mick wasn't one of them. Still, his crashes in Jeddah and Monaco left huge black marks on his reputation as a solid and consistent driver, something that Haas desperately needs and something that has forced them to sign Hülkenberg. But what is next for Mick? Obviously his future in Formula 1, and that's something he said when things got official between him and Haas. When talking about his departure from the American team and his future engagement, Mick said, "We've had our up and downs for sure, but I think the trend was always pointing upwards, and I think that's what's important. It's only my second year in Formula 1. Last year, I don't know if you can really count it as a year because it was a tough one. We were only at the back. It was definitely something I had to get used to this season, being in the midfield pack, fighting, and I feel that across the year we managed to do that. I definitely want to stick around and I have time now. So I will see all the options that I have, and then yes, hopefully take the right one that will bring me into a bright future." Now, Mick received the support of Sebastian Vettel, who said that Steiner's decision to sack Mick is truly a questionable one, which is obviously a bit biased due to the fact that Seb and Mick are very close friends off the track. However, one couldn't help but wonder whether Mick was sacked too early from Haas without being given a proper chance to prove himself. This is something that Ralf Schumacher said, adding that putting a lot of pressure on Mick to perform hasn't worked out well with the German driver because that's not how you deal with an employee. Of course, this is a disappointment for such a young racing driver. The fact that it took so long made it clear that it would not be quite so easy. They obviously approached the matter with different standards. You have to give a driver 2 or 3 years. We see, for example, Yuki Tsunoda, who sits in a supposedly better car and also has difficulties. Mick has shown that there is potential, but no matter what he did, the team and Steiner were never satisfied with it. The whole behaviour cannot be explained with normal standards. It almost has to be something personal. I think that Steiner doesn't get along with the fact that someone else is the focus at Haas. He's very, very happy to be the one who's in the foreground. He's a self-promoting person. But we can talk about this for ages and the outcome won't change. Mick is out of a seat in 2023 and it seems like he wants to stay in F1 as a reserve driver.
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing in some ways because I feel like I've been doing a good job up to this point. On the other hand, the team decided to go that way, so I have to respect that. And so yeah, I'm focused on the future now.
One team that is very familiar to the Schumacher family is Mercedes, and initially Wolff said that the team would be more than happy to find a seat for Schumacher, but the young driver needs to see what will happen next with Haas. Now that Mick has no obligations to the American team, there's a good chance he'll join Mercedes as a reserve driver and compete for a seat in Mercedes or a Mercedes affiliated team. Toto Wolff spoke about Mick Schumacher just recently, adding, "Mick is someone that has always been close to our heart because of Michael or the whole Schumacher family. We believe that we can look after him if the situation were to happen, but we haven't really put pen to paper. We haven't really come anywhere close to any terms. I think he just fits, and now we need to make it happen if he wants to, if manager Sabine Kemp wants to, and then we see where that goes to. What goes in this narrative is the fact that Mercedes is missing 2 reserve drivers from next season, one in Stoffel van Dorn and one in Nick de Vries. The Brackley-based team was rumoured to sign with Ricciardo and hire the 8-time race winner as their reserve driver, but that didn't happen as Ricciardo went on to sign a contract as a 3rd driver with Red Bull and return home. Wolff also spoke about Günther Steiner and the decision to get rid of Mick Schumacher after just 2 years, given the fact that the first one wasn't really worth judging due to the fact that Haas didn't develop their car until 2020. When talking about the Italian team's principal, Wolff added, "That's his management style. He comes from the mountains. The air is thinner there. You can't always think so well. It's authentic, and I've already seen that this style can work. Different paths leads to success." Now, Mick received the support of many F1 drivers, including the 2-time world champion Max Verstappen, who said that Mick should keep his head up because it's not the end of the world and he will be in a seat soon rather than later. And given how important Mick's father Michael was to Mercedes returning to its glory days from 2014 onwards, one couldn't help but wonder whether Mercedes will sign Mick or not. Wolff continued his praise for Mick, which only adds to the narrative that the Brackley-based team is interested in Mick and will grab him as a reserve driver. The Austrian added, "Mick is an intelligent, well-mannered young man. He's been very successful in junior formulas. I think he deserves a place, and now we have to see if we can do something." Schumacher has cut his connections with Haas and Ferrari, which means that he's now a free driver and can do whatever he wants with his career. Now that he's not obligated to the Maranello team, the move to Mercedes would be perfect for him, as he's looking forward to making a comeback on the grid anytime soon. Mattia Binotto, the principal of Ferrari, spoke about Mick amid all the speculation that he was going to cut his ties with the company. His statement goes into this narrative as well, as he added, "Mick, first, is a great driver. I think he's always progressed through his career, and I think he has as well progressed during the current season. If you look back at how he started and where he's ending, I think he's shown that he's capable of progressing. We as Ferrari and Ferrari Driver Academy believe he's a great driver now. After Haas has somehow decided for a different choice next season, we'll need to sit down with Mick really, trying to decide what's best for the future." Well, Mick doesn't see a future with Ferrari or any affiliated team, given how he was treated by Steiner and the entire Haas management team. That's why his move to Mercedes is almost a guaranteed one, and we'll be more than thrilled to see this happen. What's yet uncertain is whether Mick will be given the chance to conquer a seat in Mercedes, with Hamilton already thinking about retirement, or will he be put in an affiliated team, such as Russel with Williams, and see where things go from there on. So, what do you think will happen next with Mick? Do you believe the young German deserves a seat in Mercedes, and if successful, a return to the grid starting drivers? Let us know in the comments down below.